越是头粉，你就争夺。看我手中的枪，像一束祖上的伤。风向消息一去看，我带着京剧的枪，弹变成无际的慌，良心失落的伤。
Welcome to the China Business Breakdown, formerly the China Ad Teardown Show. I'm Vincent.
I'm Ivan.
And don't worry, we're still tearing down ads. It's just not the only thing we're tearing down. We're looking at the whole business and especially the marketing funnel for businesses in China. So today we're going to start with Pico, and we're going to look at who the company is, who made the company, and what you should know about how they're marketing to people in China and trying to get people to eventually buy their VR headsets. So Pico is often compared to Meta Quest, or the company that, so Facebook is now called Meta, and in like 2014, Facebook bought this company called Oculus VR, and they've been working on that ever since. I don't know how much you've been following the news about this stuff, but in the past week or couple of weeks, there's been a bunch of talk about Meta not doing good, like them spending a lot of money investing in their Meta Quest VR headsets, and the stock price has gone way down. And there's a lot of people criticizing them about investing so much. Like they're investing, I think it was over $15 billion. It's like the most money really like ever invested in a single product in the development of it. And so their stock price has gone down a lot, but Zuckerberg is kind of doubling down, focused on Meta Quest headset and Metaverse development. And Pico is owned by Bytedance. So when we started saying, hey, we're going to look at this company Pico and look at their demand generation and conversion funnel and what they're doing in China, I began to see all of these parallels, all these comparisons to Facebook, MetaQuest. So yeah, I don't know. Have you heard any of that news over here?
Yeah. Meta definitely has caused a lot of concepts, and they have built like a brand new industry, actually, and the universe. What universe?
Metaverse.
Metaverse. That English word has actually been a pretty interesting concept in China as well, and there are a lot of companies and investors has catch their eyesight on this industry, but in domestic environment is not so good for cultivating such new thing in China. But I'd say like Zuckerberg is he's brave enough to be the pioneer in this industry.
Yeah, well, I think he's right now he's brave enough to spend tons of Facebook, especially
money,
it's Facebook ad revenue, just to dump it into investing in VR. And I think it's a good move for them based on the situation that they're in. But yeah, you mentioned Metaverse. I know it's a buzzword internationally. It's a buzzword in China. A lot of people just say it, and I don't think I don't know what they think when they say the word. And I know in China there's, what is it? Pony Ma had translated this to Quajun to mean like all-encompassing and real. So my idea of the Metaverse, it's kind of simple actually. I think that it's a bit of an overcomplication that a lot of people talk about with it. It's just how much time you spend in a digital reality, like non-physical reality. And I think different people to different extents already spend a lot of their time in a metaverse. It's just when it's going to be plastered on your eyeballs instead of in the palm of your hand, it's going to feel more like you're interacting with the reality. And that the amount of time has obviously gone up a lot in the last decade, how much time we spend on our phones. And in China, people spend, I think, more time on their phone compared to the US or a lot of Western countries. But yeah, is that kind of like the general idea you think people have of Metaverse in China, or do they think of it as something more abstract or different?
Yeah, it's too abstract, and actually it's hard to differentiating if the Metaverse or the so-called virtual world from like a game. So that's actually how important it is to bring the physical experiences like VR glass. Like maybe in the future there will be like physical equipment that you can wear on your body, that you can actually feel, see, smell those feelings.
Yeah.
And that will make the metaverse like more make sense to me.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would think it will just be a community game.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so like a couple of points. One, some of those, the tactile, you're saying as we translate more senses, like sight, okay, those are the heads-up displays, the glasses. What about the other senses? Taste and smell and touch. Well, touch is, I think, the one that's coming along the fastest. There are products where essentially you put on gloves,
yeah.
and it gives you like tactile feedback, like you're touching things. And these are mostly being used in like industrial, think like factory type scenarios now and training. But yeah, over time, those will be more used. Okay, so like for me, Metaverse, I mean, we don't need to spend so much time on it 'cause it's not really the purpose of what we're talking about, but it is interesting to get like what's the general understanding of a lot of people in China about this concept. To me, it's like, do you live in the electric universe? Like, because when you go home, there's electricity. You switch on the light bulb and the lights are on, and you turn on the TV or the computer or the radio or whatever it is to listen to something. You know, and you look at a clock and it's plugged into the electrical outlet. Are you living in the electrical universe? Or is electricity just so much a part of normal life that it's become de facto, just default, what we expect life to be like? And I think Metaverse is more like that as we get more ingrained into different devices, and those it's where we interact with other people. It's through digital screens or displays that happen on our eyeballs. To me, that's just what the Metaverse is. It's just like more interaction in non-physical reality. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of a little bit of a semantics and maybe overcomplication, but it's interesting to talk about nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I started looking into Pico, and Pico was purchased by Bytedance, I started to see all of these parallels, all these similarities between Meta, MetaQuest, Facebook, Oculus VR, and Pico, Bytedance. So like, I'm going to read through and jump in. I'm going to read through some of these parallels, some of these similarities. So it was like kind of two phases for me. It was starting to research a little bit. Hey, look at all these similarities. It's like Pico is like the Oculus of China. And then I read a little bit more, and I'm like, oh, they're really different in a lot of ways, actually. At least the roots that they have are different. Okay, so here we go. Pico is a Chinese headquartered, founded company. Oculus MetaQuest, I'm just going to call it MetaQuest, is U.S. founded. Right, so they're both owned, like one of the biggest tech giants in America. Meta owns the Quest headsets. One of the biggest tech giants in China, Bytedance, owns the Pico headsets. The market cap for each of them is huge, over 500 billion. Well, I guess Meta's stock prices really went down maybe since we got these numbers, and Bytedance is around 360 billion. Both Bytedance acquired Pico, their VR company, for $1.4 billion. They did that in 2021, so it's actually a pretty recent acquisition. And Meta acquired Oculus a longer time ago, 2014, for $2 billion. $2 billion. So even more, even though it was like a longer time ago, they spent more money on the acquisition.
Wow.
And to put it into context, let's see, the total M&A in China for the year 2021 in the VR sector was around $3 billion. So like half of the merger and acquisition activity in the year was just Pico's acquisition. And then in the year 2020 in the US, apparently the total M&A for VR industry was $2 billion. So like the Meta's acquisition of Oculus was a huge acquisition. The founder of Oculus, the Quest, is a guy named Palmer Luckey, and the CEO now is Zuckerberg. Palmer Luckey's out of the company. He started a totally different company that's also worth many billions of dollars now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then Joe Hongwei is the founder of Pico, and he's still the CEO of it.
Yeah, still in Bytedance. Yeah.
And the device market share. So Quest apparently has 78% of the market share. So of all the people that are using VR headsets, 78% of them are Quest headsets. And worldwide, Pico's market share seems to only be 4.5%, but inside of China, their market share is over 50%.
Yeah.
So in the respective countries, like Pico is the leader in China, and in the US, it's Quest.
Just typical.
And then, right, so like all these parallels, they're starting to open offline shops. It seems Quest only has one shop, and Pico, they have plans to open over 2,000 shops. They're working on it now. Here's the interesting thing. I'm going to get more into this in a second. The OEM, the original equipment manufacturer for Quest headsets and for Pico headsets, are GR Tech.
Yeah.
Same company. The App Store for MetaQuest Store, Pico's App Store is the Pico Store. There's more apps in the Meta Store. They have over 1,000 apps. Pico Store has less than half that, 425. Pre-installed app, right? So it's like the portal that you use to access the VR world. On Meta, it's Horizon, and on Pico, it's Party Island.
Party Island.
Yeah, it's kind of not the awesomest international branding because of some other like controversial story in the news. The newest product for Meta is MetaQuest Pro, and the newest product for Pico is Pico 4, and they're both being released like right around now. Was it Halloween, October 31st? They both came out a few days ago. Okay, so those are a lot of the similarities. Now, I said, like, when I started to research it, I was like, oh, look at all these similarities between these two. And then the more I got into it, I was like, oh, it's kind of really different. And I listened to a podcast with the founder of Oculus, Palmer Luckey, some days ago. And I listened to him talk before. He's a really interesting fella. And he started Oculus he was, like, living out of a trailer. He was like fixing iPhones, selling iPhones on eBay or something to make money, and building out in this trailer like the first versions of the Oculus headsets.
Okay.
So really cool. It makes you feel like this like really, I think this really cyberpunk founding story of Oculus actually. Okay, and now let's look at Pico. So the current CEO of Pico is Mr. Joe. And Joe, he went to university in Harbin Institute of Technology. And apparently he was the same university as the Bytedance CEO, even though they didn't know each other prior to like the acquisition. And sometime after that, I guess it's around 2005, Joe Hongwei, he starts to work at GR Tech. He works in the hardware and R&D team in Qingdao for GR Tech. Right, GR Tech is this original equipment manufacturer, and so they're producing Quest headsets. They're like, before Pico starts, they're producing Quest headsets. I think, according to our research, right, they're the only company that was producing Quest headsets. They had the only contract for producing Quest headsets. So sometime around 2015, correct me if I'm wrong, GR Tech spins off Pico, and Pico starts to make its own versions of headsets. And Joe Hongwei is put in charge of the company. Now, Pico goes on, and 2017, they're selling the Pico Neo VR headset. This is their first one. And they see themselves as going after the gaming market. So they're like, we're going to be powered by mobile phones. We're going after the gaming market. And that's where they thought the thin edge of the wedge was. They go on to keep getting rounds of funding. And apparently when they get a Series B round of funding, the legal owner of the company, the legal representative of the company, turns out to be this guy, right, Jiangbin owns GR Tech. They, at the time of sale to Bytedance, are the I think, the majority owner. They own over 30% of Pico. And after they get this Series B, Jiang Bin's younger brother becomes the legal rep of Pico. So it's like the brother of the guy who's the manufacturing the Quest headsets. His brother's the legal rep of the company that's making Pico headsets. And then, so we go on, and eventually Bytedance acquires Pico in 2021. Right? It's kind of this interesting story where Joe, the CEO of Pico, and the CEO of Bytedance, they were like in the same university, and then they were like started their companies in the same like neighborhood of Beijing. Apparently, they didn't cross paths until around the acquisition of the company. So it's kind of like an interesting, I don't know, like fate, little technology romance of some sort. Okay, so that's a little bit of a brief history of like how did Pico come to be, and then in a second we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of things, just going through like how Pico is selling things here. Just like a little bit more context from my perspective, and I'm curious what you think. To me, it's interesting. Like who's going to win the race, right? Like obviously there's a lot of other VR manufacturers, a lot of other great products out there. But these are, two of the largest tech companies in the world. They're each like of the largest tech companies around. They're really the ones that are investing the most and focusing the most on VR. So like their angles, like how they're entering the market is kind of interesting. It seems that Meta's focus is initially they just released the Meta Quest Pro. It's focused on enterprise users, business users, and they also announced this relationship with Microsoft where they're bringing a lot of the Microsoft applications into the VR world. So I think they really think one of the first places where people are going to use and find most useful the headsets is in enterprise workplace. So imagine putting the headset on and you have not just the one screen, the one laptop, and then your other screen that's hooked up to it, but you have 8 displays, and you can have virtual meetings, and it feels like you're not just a floating head on a Zoom screen, but you're sitting in a room with somebody. So these are the kinds of things I think where Meta thinks the thin edge of the wedge to enter the market is. Whereas Douyin is more of an they're focusing on entertainment. I think is entertainment platform. It's how people use Douyin and TikTok now. Bytedance's biggest products, both domestically and internationally. So they have more of a gaming focus. And then the interesting thing for me is like there's this huge investment from Douyin in China and then TikTok internationally in e-commerce. Yeah. So and we know in China China is the number one e-commerce market in the world. People are really comfortable and they like buying stuff online. Yeah. And they're super used to doing it. So the idea of having a virtual mall seems like a really good opening where people feel comfortable like shopping around. And it seems like Bytedance Douyin has a lot of the infrastructure you need to create like a digital mall. Okay, and the last thing here I guess that's interesting is the investment that Pico and Bytedance are putting into creating physical shops. They're planning to roll out 2,000 physical locations. And to me that indicates a part of their thesis really is people need to experience this to see the value of it, right? It's like if you never put a VR headset on before and you didn't experience these things, what you think it's like is going to be really different than what it is like. So it seems like they're betting on this necessary offline experience for people to get onboarded, and so that's part of their like demand generation strategy. Yeah.
Before they're deciding to open these many shops in offline in China, they offered like 30 days return policy. Like if you buy Pico online and you played for a few days, within 30 days, and you can still return it, and that's like encouraging users to have the try. But that still doesn't increase the sales a lot. So I think still people needs the offline experiences. They don't want to get into too much trouble like receiving the product and returning it and they're afraid of like potential rules that I cannot return it by maybe maybe registering my account or did anything that preventing them from returning it. So yeah, still offline experience is still very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious, it makes me think, and you might have some knowledge on this off the top of your head, maybe not so much, with like a kind of recent example of Xiaomi. It's not so recent now, but I know they developed a really rabid online following before they released the products. So, but eventually they rolled out tons of in-person stores, and then they rolled out a lot of other products other than their flagship phones.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much that was critical to Xiaomi onboarding customers, having these stores where they could be, oh, the phones really do work well. Like, yeah, it doesn't say iPhone on it, and it's not super expensive, but they work so well. So yeah, I'm going to buy one now.
Yeah, especially for these kind of electronic equipment.
Yeah.
Xiaomi in the early stage, they only do online selling. They only do online selling, and at that time, its competitor like Vivo, like Oppo, they stick to the offline shops, especially in the second tier and third tier cities in China. The people in those cities are prefer to have a shop there. Like I buy this stuff from your store, and if anything happens, I can directly go to the stores to solve my problem. I don't want to waste my time to online to find a customer service and to submit my issue, and then I need to ship my product to some place. They just want clear, short, easy solution. So that's actually very critical for electronic equipment to get sales in China.
Yeah.
Even for 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes more sense. And again, you might have a little more data on this. I don't want to say the wrong figures, but it's something like over 80%, over 1 billion people in China live in tier 3 or lower cities. Like the majority of people don't live in tier 1 or tier 2 cities.
Yes, still most of the people are still living in second and third tier city,
so
even though the urbanization is going fast.
Yeah, and like those are also urban areas, and even though right, it's like
cities.
Yeah, even if it's like 3 blocks, it's like 3 blocks of urban sprawl. But and people are getting, their discretionary income is going up. Their incomes are going up still in those places. But like you were saying, maybe the ideas about how comfortable you are purchasing something that's pretty expensive, maybe that doesn't. And it's still like having the physical shop to go to is still really important for such an expensive electronic purchase for that kind of demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. All right, so let's take a look at this conversion funnel here. It'd be helpful if you help us walk through. I mean, we have like a bit of an overview here of what Pico's doing, how they're acquiring users, how they're generating leads, and then how they're selling. What do you think is a good way to go through this? Should we click into some of these first? Do you want to give us a bit of an overview on how you see them running their overall funnel?
Yeah, I think the best way is to walk through the overview first. Like in China, there were organic channels, there are e-commerce channel that you have to get on if you want to make sales, especially for like new products like Pico. And the typical organic channels includes like WeChat, Weibo, Douyin, and the new emerging. It's not so new, but it's still like new platform like Xiaohongshu, and those organic channels is like you have to. Chinese people are spending tons of time on those platforms, so you have to be there. You have to have your presence, and furthermore, you need to do ads along with it to get more exposures, so people can get to understand to know your brand, to have the awareness phase to to place your brand into their minds, and then you can and then it's about the building the e-commerce channel presence for people to have a place to purchase your product. And currently the most important e-commerce channels are still JD, Taobao, Tmall, and right now there are two new channels, is Pinduoduo, and the other one is Douyin Shop. And Pinduoduo actually is not like so new, but Pinduoduo is eaten the traditional e-commerce market as we're saying here, and Douyin is developing its shop function and spend a lot of time and energy bringing those live streaming KOLs and spending money on supporting those shop owners to get more exposures, to make more sales. So people when people is spending tons of money tons of time scrolling from their phone feeds on Douyin, they have a channel that can be exposed to the products, to the shops, to the commodities. So Pico's strategies is totally with the trend of what's happening in China right now. Like they have all the presence in almost all the channels, and they spend tons of money on, especially on Douyin. Even though it's because Pico owned by Bytedance, and Bytedance is spending money on Pico, on Douyin's ads, but that doesn't mean like it's because it's on it's because it's on platform. It's because Douyin is important. So I watched I've seen Pico's ads for many times. Ever since Bytedance purchased Pico, apparently Pico's online presence has like doubled, tripled, and you can see like he's building a lot of organic content, which is fantastic, and
right. If you're just listening, we're looking, as Ivan was describing, the overall funnel. Pico's doing everything everywhere, right? WeChat, Weibo, Douyin, Xiaohongshu, more organic platforms than that, including like Taobao's kind of interactive feeds. They're using KOLs on these channels. They're doing live streaming. They're paying for ads, as you were describing, e-commerce ads and social feed ads. They're building out the physical stores like we were talking about a moment ago. And they're converting through all the major online shops. And then we're just clicking into the Douyin feed for Pico. And you were saying that are they putting out a video every day or more than one every day?
好无聊啊！
试试这个。
太吓人了！
搞错了，再来。
Audience's mind.
Right.
So it cannot be just like a regular daily live video. It has to be polished. Yeah.
And that video that we just saw is a girl's like, I'm so bored, and it's like, play with this VR headset.
Yeah.
Is this the?
这不是买给我生日礼物吗？哎，干嘛你们？教练，我们有提前给你准备一份生日礼物。噔，哇，这 Pico 子，是的。我在那打篮球，等会再来玩。这么难的关卡，谁来帮我过啊？我来。哦耶！哇，这有意思哦。哦，脚都软。石头，下坡，各位，加速，走，干嘛？再来，真刺激了，赶快！ 哇，这太有运动量了！我待会一定要去 Pico 的官方直播间，再买一个 Pico，让我老婆跟我一起感受一下 VR 的快乐。该好好玩一会了吧
Yeah, so it makes sense that they're gonna do really well on Douyin, like you were describing, because well, Douyin's owned by the same company that owns Pico.
Yeah, and they're doing live streaming right now.
They're live streaming right now.
Yeah, here.
Oh, cool. Let's
doing the
click
live
in.
streaming.
I don't know if we can see on the.
直播间下单才有爆裂球拍，才能有苹果视频，才能有我们这个500 PP 怎么送？你现在赶紧去拍，收到以后我这边给你备注。
And she's not like an intimidating person, not like a tech guy. She seems very approachable.
It's very typical Douyin live streaming style. You set a background for product details, and there's a host, like just encouraging people to buy using different sorts of baits, or coupons, or discount, or gifts.
Right, and she has the headsets out in front of her, and they're using a green screen for this, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a green screen behind it.
And over here, we're looking at people's comments, right? So they can interact in real time, ask their questions. She's going to answer those questions. And then what's down here? Oh, this is Halloween today, so there are people. These are like digital.
This is a gift. Like the audiences can buy gift to reward the host.
To reward the host. And we're one of 186 people here right now.
Yeah, we're one.
It's kind of like time for people getting off. This is probably a low time, I'd imagine, for people joining in a stream like this. Cool. All right, let's get out of here. I'm gonna mute her and keep her on. We'll check back in later. Okay, so we just checked out their Douyin stream where they should be dominating because it's owned by Bytedance. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. We got a WeChat. We got their WeChat account. Oh, so this is an article.
One of the WeChat posts.
This is one of their WeChat posts, and it's just a big GIF up on top, and they're saying, "How
long haven't you been working out?"
Okay, so it's another, like we saw one of their most recent Douyin videos. They're using the top KOL, Wang Hong influencer
it's
for
one
fitness.
Of their selling point.
Yeah, they know it's
Game,
okay.
Movie and workout.
Yeah. Cool. So I clicked it, and this is another post. It's so filled with GIFs. Did you look through a lot of their posts? Some of them.
Some of them, yeah.
Are a lot of them like this?
Yeah, they were using like very consistent designing style.
Yeah.
For their post, and GIFs is one of their features. Like they always want to present the dynamic information to the audiences.
Let's take a look at their Weibo and their Xiaohongshu. Let's see, Weibo. It's funny.
Half a million followers.
500,000? Is that strike you as a lot or a little?
只要敢想，运动就没有极限。
Sporty, athletic promo. Now we have a girl jumping up, playing music. That makes sense too. Okay. It's just a straight promotion here.
Yeah, the Double 11 sales promotion.
Right, we have Singles Day coming up, huge sales day, so
Yeah,
they're ramping up for it. Okay, let's take a look at their Xiaohongshu here. Do you? Oh, it's not. Oh, you gotta click for more.
Yeah, you have
So
to
they have.
log in.
Okay, so they probably are sharing a lot of content here since we see them promoting it on their WeChat.
It's just
feed.
image plus texts.
Image plus text.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, Ivan, but to me it seems like Xiaohongshu has gone through kind of a Douyin-ification. It's become more Douyin-like over time.
Video.
Yeah, it's a lot of people just using it to scroll through video, just swiping through videos. But it seems that here Pico's not using it that way. Maybe they're like, hey, that stuff's gonna live on Douyin, and we're not gonna put that content. Oops, I didn't mean to save that.
Yeah, because the platform feature is still post.
Yeah. Okay, so that's some of their organic channels. Let's take a quick look here at the Taobao organic and then JD. So these, oops, I gotta log in. I didn't log in yet. How about this guy?
JD.
It's not really, it's really built for mobile. Maybe we'll use mobile in the next episode here. Show what this is like on mobile devices. But it's a big video, and they have on the top of the page. Again, it's starting with someone in the outdoors. All right, we scroll down the page. It's more videos. This is very similar to Xiaohongshu, right?
Yeah, and KOL's UGC content relevant to Pico.
Yeah. Okay, and let's see. We can also see there's a couple of KOL there's a lot of KOL campaigns. Obviously, we just saw some of them scrolling through. But there's some historic ones that Pico has done. This Douyin KOL campaign has almost 1.2 billion views. The topic for it.
Yeah, this is a huge campaign run by Bytedance for Pico. The campaign name is Play VR Choose Pico. That's their hashtag.
Play VR.
There are tons of KOLs and celebrities that they have cooperated with to share content on different organic channels.
And now we're looking at a paid ad. This is a paid ad on WeChat.
WeChat. Yeah. Ah, yeah, I saw that.
You saw this ad?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bigify it. So yeah, a lot of the ads on WeChat have this feature now, where they have a smaller screen and the video pops out of that smaller screen to make it feel like it's
3D.
3D, yeah. Interesting that they used English
And no subtitles. Yeah, that's
right.
strange. Yeah. Usually the advertisement approval team will force you to add subtitles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess Bytedance has some weight they can throw around. So they're using the paid ads. Cool video clicks through to a landing page where you can see all the full product details, and then it clicks through again to a Tmall shop.
JD shop, yeah.
JD shop where you can directly buy here. Okay. Let's see. What else? Oh, so not only is Pico using their own, building their own physical shops, but they're also creating an authorized dealer network. So again, this is going back to what we discussed before, how they really are investing in and believing in this need to experience the VR world before they think that you need to experience it before people are going to invest in it. And they're creating an authorized dealer network to even increase their spread further.
Yeah, the national policy is protecting Pico actually. Like, it's hard to get a Meta Quests, and it's hard to access to the Meta Quests content pool, games or videos or whatever things. You have to work a lot of ways to get access to it. So Pico has actually a pretty safe environment,
a pretty safe, protected environment
to grow in China.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here because I don't know how much research you did into that. In order to get over the hurdles to get the MetaQuest headsets, is it like legal hurdles that you have to go through? Could you go through legal hurdles to get it, or is it more gray than that?
Amazon, I think most of the reviews, because I've watched a lot of review videos about they're directly competitor. Like they put MetaQuest and Pico in competition.
Yeah,
and they're doing a lot of reviews, and they all the KOLs has got the equipments in their own way, but their reviews on these two is still like Pico has a lot of room to grow in content side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
yeah.
So actually now like Pico is taking the good time to develop it itself, because if one day MetaQuest got some official approve to get into China, and they can access their content pool or produce content in a China approve can approve the content, that in that case people will be in a very bad position to compete with the global this global product.
Yeah. The protective environment is giving Pico time to catch up, to build out their app store, to get more content. And maybe by the time MetaQuest can get into China, Pico's already going to have built out a competitive landscape for themselves.
Yeah, because the government actually just banned the violent content.
Right.
But most of the VR content are actually pretty friendly. Yeah.
Right, and that's so. That was the question I didn't want to put you on the spot for, but thinking about MetaQuest Pro, the newest headset that they made, and it's focused on the business, or it's for pro users. So it's in the name. It's kind of enterprise focused. Say there was a business, a company, enterprise in China, and they wanted their teams to be able to start using headsets to have virtual meetings and to just experiment and use that for their work setup, or like a school maybe that wants to train people how to do surgery or how to do automotive repairs using this, and it's like, oh, like MetaQuest is the one that's best for this. What if we were advising Zuck? How would we say to get in touch with those companies? Is there a sort of distribution channel that comes to mind? Like, it's not everyone, right? Even like I was saying, they have an enterprise focused tool. It's not every consumer in China that it's appropriate for, or most appropriate for now, but it is really targeted to these sorts of more professional users. And is there a more targeted kind of strategy that they could use without having to go through the whole rigmarole of getting like laws changed? But where they could get their headsets on the faces that would get the most value out of them right now.
Yeah. So for products like MetaQuest, if they want to really go into China market, there are actually tons of efforts they need to do. They even need to redo some of the work they have already done and succeeded in global world. Like, you have to adapt to China's law and China's content policy. Maybe you need to redo your content, and you need to contact China's partner to distribute your products, your devices, and your content needs to be licensed in China as well. So you have to spend a lot of energy to deal with the public relationships with the government. Those are very critical to get Meta officially approved in China.
Yeah. Okay, so a few key points come to mind as we're starting to wind down here. I guess one is protect yourself from the start. Like, if you're a foreign company, right? Like, we started this story talking about how MetaQuest's OEM, the Oculus manufacturer, ends up creating Pico. So I don't know what they really could have done early on, but if they were thinking about it, maybe things wouldn't have happened exactly the way they did. But for any company, protect your trademarks, protect your IP as best you can in China early on.
Yeah, protecting IP is a very important, and they should do it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Even they're not in China market officially, like Tesla, like the Model
S
is taken by someone, so they have to name it Model 3. Yeah, that's like a typical case.
Right, because a lot of foreign organizations, maybe they're used to the legal way of doing things in other markets where it's first use trademark. It's like if you used it first, then it's your trademark. But in China, it's first to file.
Yeah, file.
So if you didn't file it and someone else did, it's not yours. Even though like you made the thing that's really popular that's called that name, doesn't matter really. So that's one key point. And then another key point is this whole thing about it being difficult for MetaQuest to enter the market. People are trying to buy them. They're buying them on Amazon. They're getting them imported. And there's like a walled garden where Pico can kind of gain market share now. So not every industry is the same. Some industries are more walled off than others. So don't put yourself, if you can avoid it, don't put yourself in that position where a competitor is able to grow, where you're ahead, like you're ahead with the product, you're ahead with the content, you're ahead with the concept, but because you didn't enter, then you fall behind. Yeah. So even if it's just a matter of getting on the right social channels and growing your presence and the connection with the target audience, do that. Don't wait to lose.
And also trust China's players' strength. They can get stuff done if they really like your content. They can find their own way to purchase your product. They can find their own way to connect to your content pool. They can get their own way to experience your equipment.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is get them to like you.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Ivan. Yeah. Is that people are creative. And when people really want something,
yeah, they can find a way.
They're gonna find a way. So like, don't overly be concerned about that. Be concerned about losing the race to the certain competitors that are gonna see what you're doing is working. People are creative and they're buying your stuff through all the hoops they have to jump through. And then those local competitors are going to go out and they're going to eat your lunch. Yeah. So don't let that happen. And there's like small investments and steps that you can take to avoid that. Okay. Cool. The only thing on the list here that we didn't cover, I think, is the esports festival. And I don't know.
Esports?
Yeah. So I think that it's that Pico, they sponsored some esports events in China, and there's a huge, I mean, it's worldwide. Esports has grown, and it's really big in China. And again, it's like this is a market niche where Pico seems to be ratcheting down on.
They're building their ecosystem right now, like not from the just application, just the games. They want to build a whole circle of it, like because currently. The League of Legends, that game, even it has been lasting 10 years. Yeah, it's a very long-lasting top game still in China. Even though most of the players are not playing it, they love watching the games, watching the how to say that, the World Cup. Yeah. That's something that can still get people's attention and also continuously grow the brand awareness, to have the competition, so people can see that then they like it, then they will be able to join it by experiencing your equipment. Yeah, it's that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and it's what you're saying. I mean, they're trying to win the hearts and the minds of the target audience.
Yeah, it's like we're telling you this is not just a personal game. You can just you just play it on your own in your own house. This is actually an open opportunity.
Yeah. It's a good point. Like one of the I won't go on too long here, but one of the thoughts about VR, AR, XR, is that people are going to be freed from sitting behind a computer screen, a laptop screen, a phone screen, and be able to engage more with the world around them.
Yeah.
And then connecting that to like the physical locations that Pico is building out, that they might have more interactive things going on with the physical locations where you can like play and connect with people in the stores and see how it works, not just like be on your couch in your own home, but with other people as well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Is there anything we missed? Anything interesting, fun, funny, smart, insightful that we should cover here?
I think that's actually really informative enough for our audiences to see this funnel.
Yeah, I agree. All right, if you want to check out more ads, ChinaAdLibrary.com has them. Let us know what you think. Give us a positive review.
Right.
Yeah, all good. Okay, done. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
我手中的枪，像一柱柱像的伤，挥洒消息一直看我带着京剧的枪，弹变成无际的荒，良心不失落的伤。